A man is found guilty of stealing money meant for widows and children of mine workers. After he is released from prison, around 70 elderly former investors, many using walking sticks, gather to welcome him. They hug him, they pray for him, and they thank him. Welcome to Margins and Madness. My name is Ria, and honestly, I love you so much for being here. Okay, my sweetness. Today's story is about Joseph Arthur Brown. He grew up in a normal family. His parents lived on the garden route and they owned a small plot of land in Green Bushes. He didn't come from a wealthy or well-connected family, but by the time he was in his 30s, his life had completely changed. He was earning around 3 million rand a year. He owned luxury homes and drove expensive cars. His company was called Fidentia. Most South Africans know it because of its loyalty program called Infinity. It sounded like an ordinary business. Nothing about it made people think something was wrong. Behind the scenes, Fidentia was managing money for thousands of ordinary people who trusted the company. That included money set aside for widows and children of mine workers through the National Union of Mine Workers. Here's how it actually worked. Fidentia ended up controlling somewhere around 2 billion across roughly 54,000 different trusts. Money that belonged to pensioners, to disabled mine workers, to children who'd lost a parent in a mining accident. Instead of managing the money the way the law required, Brown and people around him moved it into other businesses and luxury assets. The money was used to buy property, expensive cars, and country estates. As investigators looked deeper, they found more and more money was missing. At first, it was hundreds of millions of rand. Then it grew to more than 1 billion. Eventually, they estimated that over 1.3 billion was unaccounted for across the Fidentia group. A judge in the Cape High Court later found that he had recruited former national cricketers Dave Callahan and Mayrick Pringle to work for Fidentia. They were well known and respected, and having them around made the company seem more trustworthy than it really was. My sweetness, there's something else you need to know. Brown was not the only person convicted. Fidentia's financial director and one of the company's brokers also reached a plea agreement where each was sentenced to 7 years in prison. But they were released after less than 3 years. One of the company's former directors, a man named Stephen Goodwin, simply left the country entirely while the investigation closed in. He was later found and arrested in the United States. So let's slow down for a moment because this is the most important part. The Living Hands Umbrella Trust was one of 4 major trusts affected by the Fidentia Scandal. When Fidentia was placed under curatorship in 2007, the trust had lost investments worth more than 1.3 billion. The trust existed for one reason: to support the families of mine workers who died doing one of the most dangerous jobs in South Africa. These were elderly widows and children who had lost a parent. The money was meant to pay for food, for school fees, and a place to live. Instead, investors found the trust money had been used to buy property and support businesses, including a luxury spa. Brown was originally charged with 192 offenses. He pleaded guilty to 2 of them. One involved almost 200 million linked to the Transport Education and Training Authority. The other involved 93 million linked to the Mantadia Asset Trust Company. About 15 million was eventually recovered. In 2013, the Western Cape High Court fined Brown 150,000 and gave him a suspended prison sentence.
On count 2, you are sentenced to pay a fine of 75,000 rand or serve 18 months imprisonment. On count 6, you are also sentenced to pay a fine of 75,000 rand or serve 18 months imprisonment.
People believed the sentence was far too light. The National Prosecuting Authority appealed the decision. In December 2014, the Supreme Court of Appeal overturned the sentence. One of the judges warned that the original sentence created the impression that there were 2 justice systems, one for the rich and one for the poor. Brown was sentenced again. This time, he received 15 years in prison. This is still one of the most surprising parts of the story. Shortly after the first High Court decision and before the appeal, Brown received what newspaper called a hero's welcome in Khayelitsha. Around 70 former Fidentia investors, many of them elderly and using walking sticks, came to meet him. They hugged him. They prayed for him. They even offered to help him recover money that he claimed the curator still owed him. This isn't a joke. Let the moment speak for itself. Brown told them he had not stolen their money and said his conviction was not about personally enriching himself. I still find that difficult to understand. A room full of people whose trust funds had disappeared, thanking a man at the center of that scandal.
He can run away because now he's free. But now, just because he loves us, he is here with us and we support him and we're going to support him till Jesus comes.
Brown served 7 years of his 15-year sentence. He was described as a model prisoner. He was released on parole in October 2021 as a first-time offender. His first wife left for Australia in 2008 after a warrant was issued for her arrest. His second wife was waiting for him when he was released near Cape Town. Brown has said he is remorseful. This is what sticks out for me though. The justice system did respond. A higher court overturned the original sentence and the judges made it clear that it was too lenient. But look at the numbers. More than 1.3 billion was lost. Tens of thousands of family members depended on that money. Brown served 7 years in prison. Trust is not proof, and that difference changed thousands of lives. As far as records show, J. Arthur Brown now lives quietly on the coast outside Cape Town. What do you think about this case? Don't forget to be kind, be a little bit weird. The world needs you just like that. Hit like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Love you!